Hi everybody, this is TEGA. Welcome to my channel. If you're visiting this channel for the first time or you're a returning subscriber, you're very welcome. I'll be showing you how to make the easiest bustier ever in this video. So guys, let's get started. So in order to start drafting your bustier or strapless tube top, you need to understand the bodice pattern first, and I'm going to show you because I've already drafted this out so you understand. And if you haven't watched my video on how to draft a bodice pattern, you need to do that. So the first thing I did was the neck width and the neck depth of the bodice is 3 by 3. That's the standard measurement. Then I came here up here and they inputted the shoulder measurement. The shoulder length is 16 inches divided by 2 is 8 inches. So I came here and marked the 8 inches, and in this bodice I've not added the sewing allowance. Otherwise sometimes you had the sewing allowance over there, which is half an inch. And after I've drafted that, I came down by half of the armhole measurement. You divide the armhole measurement by 2, then you draw it down. You start it from here because you come down from this line by 1 inch, which forms the slope here. And after that slope, you measure your armhole measurement, then you divide it by 2. And once you divide it by 2, then that's your chest line. They call it the upper bust or the chest line. So that's the line. Then you connect your armhole like that. You come in here by 3/4 of an inch or half an inch, I always say, but this is 3/4. You come down, which is half of the armhole here. Yeah, you come in, then you draft it and connect it to your bust measurement. Your bust measurement is divided by 4. Divided by 4 plus half an inch is allowance. That's the line there. So the armhole is connected there, and this is the bust point. And to find the bust point, I measured 10 inches from the shoulder line there, right there, which forms the bust point, which is 10 inches. And this is the under bust measurement from the bust point down to your under bust. Yeah, that is the measurement between here and there, which is 4 inches. And from there, this is the waistline. So the waistline is 16 inches from there, the shoulder line right there, and that forms the waistline. So if your waistline is 17 or 18, you need to measure from there right down there. So that's the measurement. So I came here, apart from the bust measurement I have taken there, I measured again my waistline, and the waistline here is 30 divided by 4 is 7.5. So I've measured the 7.5. So I'll come back here and explain this. This is from the front armhole. You come in by 3/4. That's the front armhole. For the back armhole, it stays here. I'm gonna draft it quickly now so you can see. For the back armhole, it stays the same. It connects right here like that. That's for the back, yeah. That's for the back, and that's for the front. So guys, don't worry about this line. While I was drafting the pattern, the pen just went its own way. So this is a round neck. If I cut it out later, you're gonna see it's not gonna be like that. So don't take no notice of that. So right now we're gonna add our bust band. The bust band is nipple to nipple measurement, and the nipple to nipple measurement I'm working with right now is 8 inches, and 8 inches divided by 2 is 4. So I'm gonna come here starting from the bust point, and I'm gonna input 4, but I'm gonna add 4.5 instead of 4 because when I'm applying the dart, you know, I'm gonna need that measurement. So I'm gonna put 4.5, then come here, input 4.5, come here, input 4.5. Now I'm gonna connect the lines together from the bust point to the waistline. So next you need to carry on to the shoulder line there and measure what you've got there. And I've got 5 inches, and half of 5 inches is 2.5. You make your marking there and you connect that bit, that marking, to the bust point. Using your ruler, you want to go like that. That's it. So once that is done, you want to add 1 inch here and 1 inch, mark 1 inch here and 1 inch there, and that's for our dart. And this is for the waistline. You come there 1 inch, you come there 1 inch. And for the under bust, if you want your bust to protrude, you know, like to be bogus, you need to add more inches or more, you know, like a few inches to your 1 inch here. So you can go 1.5 if you want, but on this occasion I'm just gonna go with 1 1/4. So this is 1 1/4, and I'll add 1 1/4 here. As you can see, this is 1 and this is 1 1/4, this is 1 1/4. So our bust point radius is from here, from this point to here. And like I said earlier, the under bust is 4 inches, and from here to here is 4.5, right? And this forms the bust radius. So the same 4 inches we had here, you're gonna go up depending on what your radius is. Everyone's radius is different, but this one is from here to here 4 inches, and here to here 4.5. So I'm gonna go up exactly 4 inches. Like here, I'm gonna move up like this, up to there, yeah. So once I'm here, I'm gonna be adding inches for my dart allowance. So you can come up here now and input 1 inch on the left and 1 inch on the right side. But if you want to go higher, like 1 1/4 like we did here, you can as well go like that. But on this occasion, I'm gonna do 1 here and I'm gonna take 1 here. So we'll get in there now, guys. So now we're gonna be connecting all our lines together, all the markings we've made for our dart. So we connect like that. Like that. Sometimes you can come down and hinge here if you want to. For ease on the bust points, you can come down. Yeah, it's optional. And also you can connect that way. There we go. So that's it, connected there. So now, guys, because we took 1 inch here and 1 inch there, then 1 inch there, 1 inch there, we're gonna come here and add those inches back to the top, because once you cut this place and you're stitching it together, you're gonna lose that 2 inches. So you return the 2 inches, then you add 1 inch for your sewing allowance. Don't forget, you're gonna sew this together and you need, you know, a 1 inch allowance to put it back together. So you're gonna add 2 inches that you took from here, and you're gonna add 1 inch for the sewing allowance. Then you're gonna come here as well and add the 2 inches here as well, and you can add the 1 inch sewing allowance. If you don't want to add the 1 inch sewing allowance here, make sure you add it when you cut your fabric. And you can now just add the 2 inches here and the 2 inches there and leave it this for when you cut your fabric. But on this occasion, guys, I've added it. Everything is added to this pattern. So now I'm going to connect this line together. Yeah, and once you've connected that together, you want to come here and determine what kind of neck you want. So if you want the neck to be straight around here, like that, into the armhole, you can do that. And if you want a sweetheart, you know, neck, you can go ahead and do that. So depending on what neck you want, it's your choice. But now I'm gonna just connect this to this like that. This is what I'm going for, guys. Connect that like that. Can you see that? Can you see that? For this task, you need your French curve or a curved ruler, but I'm gonna be using my free hand to draw this. So I'm gonna be first connecting this. Yeah, like that. Connecting that to this. Can you see that? I've connected that, and next I'll be connecting this line here, right here. So you watch me as I connect that together. So I have to be careful on this. So to connect this together, I have to come slightly like this. Yeah, I have to come slightly like that. Can you see? So it's all connected together now. Like I said, if you have a curved ruler, you can use it instead of your free hand, like I've done. So guys, I'm just gonna be rolling this out. This is the sewing allowance. If you remember, I had on my 1 inch. Instead of adding it to your pattern, you can decide to add it to your fabric when you cut it on the fabric. But that's my sewing allowance. So I'm gonna write sewing allowance so I know what it is. So now I'll carry on to connect this together. So that's the way it is. This is a sweetheart neck. So next I'm gonna, like I said, you can decide to come down 1 inch here if you want, which is optional to ease the bust point. So what I'm gonna do here is to still mark out the 1 inch. If you come down by 1 inch, then it's gonna look something like this. It's gonna look something like this, guys. Like I said, it's optional if you know. So instead of connecting straight to the bust point, you cut from here. So this is like a ease for the bust. So now guys, the next thing is to shape this all out because it's not gonna be pointed like that. So if you have a curved ruler, you can use it to curve it out rather than using your hand like I'm doing. So you curve out all the points that needs to be curved out. You do that bit as well, and this bit. You make them a bit heavy. So before I conclude and cut out my pattern, I'm gonna add 1/2 inch sewing allowance here by the waistline, right, and add 1/2 inch here all over so that you've got the allowance to sew. If you're lining it, you know, you've got that 1/2 inch allowance to line it all up. So you need to add it like I'm doing. Don't forget to do that, it's very important. If you aren't doing it on your pattern, make sure when you cut your fabric you had the 1/2 inch allowance, and make sure you had that 1 inch as well. So guys, I've drafted out, I've added the 1/2 inch allowance to the waistline, and there, you know this guys, this can be a yoke. If you're making a dress or a top with a yoke, that can serve as your yoke, you know. And instead of you adding 1/2 inch here, you can add 1/2 inch to this and 1/2 inch to this. So it's up to you. This is optional, not compulsory. But here we're cutting a bustier, so I'll just stick with what I'm doing. So now it's time to cut. If you look now, I have, you know, there's no need to add any allowance because I've added all the necessary allowance to this. So I can just place it on my fabric and cut. No need to add any allowance. So if you want to follow the steps I've taken with this, that will be fab. But otherwise, you have to remember to add the allowance to your fabric when you cut it. That's it. So this is what it looks like. This is the bustier, this is the yoke. That's the yoke there, but we don't need this. So we'll set that on the side and start cutting the rest. So now I'll start cutting this now, the dots. If you were taking the 1 inch, you cut it differently, but I'm going with this at the moment. That's done. Remember, this is curvy. Don't make it sharp. So curve it out and keep cutting. You come here as well. Curve it out and keep cutting. So that's it, guys. This is our side panel and the mid panel, both here now. So you have this. This is what you have. This is what you have. This is what you have, guys. We're gonna be sewing this together here and joining this together there. So not all back panel has a zip allowance, but I have left 1 inch zip allowance on this, so I'm gonna write zip allowance here, guys. If you don't need it, you can always fold it over like that, but I'll leave this for now. So you need to input your dot here, and don't forget it's 4.5 inches we took on the front panel. So you're gonna keep going and measure your 4.5 inches, right? Oh, sorry, here. So from here you come down 1/2 inch here, then here you take 1/2 inch here, 1/2 inch there to make your 1 inches. then you connect it straight up to 1/2 inch below the chest line, like that. So that's it. That's our 1 inch that allowance for the back. Half here and half there. Connect it 1/2 inch below the chest line. So right now, because we've taken 1 inch here, I'm gonna add it there and add the 1 inch sewing allowance like we did for the front panel. So I'm adding the 1 inch from here and 1 inch for the sewing allowance, and I'm going up here as well and adding the 1 inch sewing allowance to there. So I'll connect this first. I'm gonna connect that first, right? Then add the 1 inch here, then 1 inch seam allowance, making the 2, and this one is gonna have just 1. Then connect it again, and that forms the final measurement. So here we have the 1 inch there and 1 inch seam allowance. So basically it's like this. So you can see the dot is back here. So that's the dot there and that's the, so this is for the sewing allowance. And this one is for the dot we took here. So automatically it replaces itself. So next, guys, so now the next stage is to come down here either by 1 inch, 1/2 inch, 1 1/2 is up to you, but I'm gonna be coming down 1 inch and connect it right there, right to the sewing allowance. So that's it. Yeah, so you have the back panel like that. So also here, before I start cutting, I'll remember my 1/2 inch here, sewing allowance. So remember to add your 1/2 inch sewing allowance. This is the best method because when you're cutting your fabric, you don't need to be adding any of this because it's all being infiltrated on the pattern, so you don't have to stress yourself cutting it all over again. So just connect that together like that. That's it, guys. So I'm gonna start cutting out now. Remember, if you don't need the zip allowance, so you take this off. So all you need is this, just that, and that's the back panel. So I'll start from here like this. There you go. So that's it there. That's the back panel when opened. So you want to carry on cutting and you want to cut the dot. And once you finish cutting the dot, you want to go ahead and open the zip line. Where we have the zip allowance, we're going to go ahead and open that up as well, because you need to open that. That's very important, don't forget. And once you've done that, the back panel is ready. So you will have a 4-piece panel like that, 2 for the right side and 2 for the left side of your back panel. And for the front as well, you're going to have 3-piece for your front panel, the 2 sides and the middle panel. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you've learned 1 or 2 things again. Remember to subscribe, press that notification bell for more of my videos when I post, and remember to like, share, and leave me a comment. I'll see you in my next video. But till then, guys, look after yourself and bye for now.